All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with the morning show with yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist. Yeah, things are looking a little interesting this morning, to say the least. We had inflation data coming out hotter than expected, and of course, the markets are responding. The US dollar index is up 94 pips. We are now at 105.09, back above 105 in the US dollar index. I warned you about this. I told you this was coming. And as a result, the euro is now down 104 pips at 107.80. Pound sterling down 109 at 125.67. And the Aussie is down 98 pips at 65.36. Bitcoin futures have been all over the place. The market dropped to a low of 67,750 and has now rallied all the way back to 69,020, down 335 after topping out at 69,950 earlier. Ethereum futures down 31 at 34.99 half. It went as high this morning as 35.6550 and hit a low of 34.2150. Quite the rally off of the lows. Crude oil is down a nickel at $85.18 a barrel after rallying to $86.01 per barrel in the overnight market, and it has been as low as $84.75 in the overnight market. Nat gas up 2 pennies at $1.89. Gold futures are gold futures are up $2.80 an ounce, trading at $2,365.10 an ounce. It did top out so far this morning at $2,378.20, but it had pulled back down to $2,337.30. So quite the rally off the low point there too. Silver up 52 cents at $28.51 an ounce. Topped out so far at 28.62 and had dipped to a low of 27.66. We have copper pretty much flat at $4.28. We have Dow futures down 425. They were down more than 500 points earlier in the overnight markets. We're at 38,780. It had dipped down to 38,637. We have the E-mini S&P 500 down 52.5 points at 5207 and 3/4. The low for the overnight is 5177 even. And it had hit a high of 5287.5 in the overnight market. E-mini NASDAQ 100 down 204 points and a quarter, trading at 18,154 and 3/4. It had rallied to 18,470 in the overnight market and went down as low as 18,054 even. Then we have the Russell down big, down 51.8 points at 2,048.80. It had rallied to 21,1380 in the overnight market and was low as 2,027.80 in the overnight market. No mercy is being shown for the hot inflation reading. That print came out and just tore everything to shreds. Now, to be fair, Bitcoin futures was down like 1,200 points at one point. Now it's only down $185. That should tell you something. And gold was down like almost $30 an ounce. It's positive one today. So that should tell you some things. Here's something that's not positive. Did you know that NVIDIA stock is continuing to fall because competition is starting to heat up? Shares in the AI darling fell 5% on Tuesday after Intel announced its new Gaudi 3 chip, which is said will be priced a lot lower than NVIDIA's H100A1 offering. You knew that was coming, folks. You knew they were going to reverse engineer that chip and figure out a way to make something competitive to it, and that's exactly what they've done. Things keep getting worse for Tesla after sales dropped to their lowest point since 2020 earlier this year. Baird and analysts suggest things may not improve for Tesla anytime soon. They said the company will likely face a messy 3 months ahead. A lawsuit reveals that Meta considered paying users for their data. In a testimony, an economist said users should each get $5 per month for their highly valued data. Yeah, you can't even buy a cup of coffee with that nowadays, can you? Your Google Docs are probably, hint, hint, wink, wink, out of AI's clutches. The tech giant has been training its AI tools using publicly available Google Docs, the New York Times reported last week, but that probably doesn't refer to your files that are available to anyone with the link. So they say. Landlords have a secret weapon. Some big time apartment owners are using software that helps them set rents and juice their profits. A new lawsuit against the company selling the tech, RealPage, accuses it of price fixing. Mickey Agral's path forward, the former CEO of Period Underwear Company, thinks is ready for a fresh start. For the first interview she's done in years, she's speaking now about her experience as a female founder, her divorce, her new business ventures, and her time in a cave. And not to be disrespectful, but frankly, my dear, who gives a darn? Spotify employees aren't happy about its spending on lavish events. The streaming services celebrated its annual rap campaign with a packed party at a London super club and then cut 1,500 jobs 4 days later. Talking about, may I have this last dance? Wow. Yeah, at least 14 current and former employees were spoken to who shared details about what they described as poorly timed and extravagant parties. Man, what a way to fire and lay people off. Throw them the party of the century and then wait 4 days for them to sober up and say, you're fired. Man, talk about a meme. All I can hear is Donald Trump on his show saying, you're fired. Or better yet, that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite, but that's not the favorite. The favorite is from, what was it? Was it The Grinch? I may have the title of the movie wrong, but you know the scene that I'm about to quote. It's a scene where the guy, the boss, he has a way of saying that a person's fired. He goes, "You are fired." That is my favorite. So yes, they fired 1,500 jobs after throwing them the party of the century. That's classic. That is classic. I'm so sorry. Wow, that's classic. All right, in other news, Arizona's abortion ban from 1864, which would jail doctors for years, reinstated. NVIDIA employees are getting richer with a special Jensen grant that boosts their stock awards by 25%. How one real estate unicorn is getting past gutting layoffs and slowing deals. OpenAI poaches Shopify's former head of support as the e-commerce giant support.org faces a shakeup. Google DeepMind CEO reportedly thinks it'll be tough to catch up with OpenAI Sora. Ultra wealthy cruising. See inside Royal Caribbean's most extravagant upgrades at a $100,000 a week cabin on its Icon of the Seas. So, in other words, all the people who are being thrown overboard are the ones that can't afford a $100,000 a week cabin. That's kind of messed up. Miami shows how a new kind of gentrification is coming to U.S. cities, and it is already in the works, folks. All these big corporations and BlackRock and things like that, they're buying up not just apartment buildings, but they're buying single family properties as well. They're really pushing in secret behind closed doors while no one's paying attention, while all your attention is being focused on Diddy. They're pushing forward the agenda of you will own nothing and be happy. So whatever you do, don't sell your house because you will never be able to buy another one. because if all the corporations buy up all the existing homes on the market for sale, they will never let them go. They will never sell them to you. And if they did decide to, you wouldn't be able to afford it. Making sense? Are you getting it yet? Creators explain how to start making money with the TikTok Creative Challenge program, including what type of content is most popular with brands. And what's happening today? Today's earnings is Delta Airlines, among others. Yeah. So I think what we need to have a conversation about this morning is corruption. Now, we have spoken about previously how the United States of America is falling, it's collapsing from within, it's going the way of ancient Rome. And that's what cooked the goose of ancient Rome. It was all of the corruption, 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 corruption. Did you know it was one of their own government officials that opened the gates for the barbarians to storm and sack the city? Well, that's what's happening here. We have members of the US government, members of Congress that are enjoying corruption and opening up the gates for the barbarians to enter. Not sure what I'm talking about? Well, everyone from Representative Pat Fulton to Senator Dianne Feinstein to Senator Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, to Senator John Ossoff and Republican Liz Cheney. Yes. Key findings from an investigation, a 5-month investigation into federal lawmakers' personal finances, and you will be surprised what they found. Dozens of federal lawmakers and at least 182 top staffers have violated a conflict of interest law. Numerous members of Congress personally invest in industries they oversee. Talk about conflict of interest. Few lawmakers face serious consequences legally or otherwise. But if you or I did what they are currently doing, we would be arrested for insider trading and banned from markets for the rest of our lives. You see, the nation is unabashedly polarized today. Republicans and Democrats enjoy little goodwill and less commonality in front of the cameras, but behind closed doors, they all agree because they're one head of a two-headed dragon. So in Washington, D.C., a bipartisan phenomenon is thriving. Numerous members of Congress, both liberal and conservative, are united in their demonstrated indifference toward a law designed to quash corruption and curb conflict of interest. Yeah. Did you know that there are myriad of ways members of the U.S. House and Senate have eviscerated their own ethical standards, avoided consequences, and blinded Americans to the many moments when lawmakers' personal finances clash with their public duties? Yeah. Hundreds of hours over a 5 months period of investigating, reviewing nearly 9,000 financial disclosure reports for every sitting lawmaker and their top ranking staffers. Yeah, reporters conducted hundreds of interviews, interviewing those with some of the nation's most powerful leaders. And do you want to know what they turned up? From December the 13th to December the 17th of 2023, more than 24 articles were published along with data visualizations. 57 members of Congress and 182 senior level congressional staffers have violated a federal conflicts of interest law. Lawmakers and top congressional staffers face minimal and inconsistently applied penalties for violating the Stock Act. And it's nearly impossible to comprehensively obtain public records about senior level staffers and personal finances without pulling some teeth. Nearly 75 federal lawmakers who held stocks in COVID-19 vaccine makers Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, or Pfizer in 2020, with many of them buying or selling these stocks in the early weeks of the pandemic. 15 lawmakers tasked with shaping U.S. defense policy actively invest in military contractors. More than a dozen environmentally minded Democrats who invest in fossil fuel companies or other corporations with concerning environmental track records. Members who regularly chide the media but personally pour their money into at least one of the nation's largest news media or social media companies, including Facebook, Twitter, Comcast, Disney, and the New York Times. Did you know that, folks? Did you know that? You probably didn't. Did you also know that 16 lawmakers who buy and hold tobacco company stock, including some who have publicly fought smoking? Senators, House members, and top Capitol Hill staffers who will help decide whether the government regulates cryptocurrency and are themselves invested in Bitcoin and altcoins. How numerous Capitol Hill staffers are themselves saddled with student loans at a time when Congress is considering erasing education debt. But congressional staffers get loan repayment perks average Americans don't. The role of the Securities and Exchange Commission could play in policing congressional insider trading. Real estate investment plays made by lawmakers who are also landlords. Reasons why some lawmakers abstain from trading individual stocks and why they believe their congressional colleagues should too. 25 wealthiest members of Congress and where they put their money, 50 most popular stock holdings among members of Congress. That's right. And there's also a rating for every member of Congress on their financial conflicts and commitment to financial transparency. 13 senators and House members have received a red danger rating on their three-tier spotlight scale, while 113 get a yellow borderline rating. Finally, it's also been published an exclusive, searchable, and sortable database of all members of Congress' personal finances, including their assets, debts, and sources of outside income. Yeah, folks, the lid has been blown wide open with corruption at the highest levels of the U.S. government. Did you know that traders have invested $55 million using an app that helps them copy congressional stock portfolios? Despite wide public support against the practice, members of Congress invest in the stock market. People have invested at least $55 million in 2 years mimicking members of Congress portfolios, and Pelosi's reported trades increased 45% in value in 2023. Crenshaw's increased in value by 41%. An app allowing its users to trade like members of Congress and leading investors just broke $100 million in total investments. Despite its success, the app's co founders admittedly say they hope it leads Congress to ban themselves from trading. Released in January of 2023, Autopilot pulls trading data filed by members of Congress and allows users to copy their trades. Since the passage of the Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge Stock Act of 2012, members in Congress are required to report each of their and their immediate family's investments within 45 days or face financial penalties. The app also allows its users to mimic investments made by prominent hedge fund managers like Michael Burry, the subject of the 2015 movie The Big Short, via their federally required 13F filings. Chris Joseph, a co founder of the platform who runs the popular Nancy Pelosi stock tracker on X, spoke about how the app breezed past a $100 million trading milestone with more than $55 million copied from the trades that copied congressional filed ones. The app doesn't allow its users to mimic every member of Congress. Instead, it provides 4 legislators to copy. You got Nancy Pelosi, Dan Crenshaw, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and Dan Goldman, plus an amalgam of stocks from the top 10 politician traders based on their 2022 performance. Joseph said the portfolios of Crenshaw and Pelosi, which the Congresswoman has said are made by her husband, Paul Pelosi, are the two most popular to mirror. Statistics within the app show that Pelosi's reported trades increased 45% in value in 2023, and Crenshaw's increased in value by 41%. As for comment on the matter, Corey Schiermeyer, spokesperson for the Crenshaw office, said that their boss is not a millionaire and barely has anything invested in the market. Representatives from Pelosi's office declined to comment. You don't say. At the end of 2021, Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, said that she was against banning members of Congress and their families from trading stocks, leading to massive public outcry and her flip to her position on the matter. Several members of Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, tried to ban the practice in 2022 to no avail. Next congressional session in 2023, a group of Democratic senators introduced a similar bill, though it remained stuck in committee. That's why we're doing this, Joseph, the autopilot spokesperson said. Honestly, it's partly to continue holding their feet to the fire. We're not going away. Donald Sherman, deputy director for the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, said he thinks the app is a clever idea. He's not surprised to hear that many legislators have trading portfolios that are more successful than the average investors. If I take the most generous perspective, their entire job lends itself to the kind of careful study of market trends, economic factors, and experience with what moves the market that I think most traders need and worry and envy. As Autopilot Joseph has put it, if you can't beat them, join them. Again, they get away with financial murder, things that if you were caught doing, you would be jailed. But it doesn't stop there. The party goes even longer. They're about to really turn up because a new AI powered tool could revolutionize how lawmakers are held accountable for their insider trading. That's right. A graduate school project could transform how lawmakers are held accountable for stock trades. Polywatch, developed for a UC Berkeley capstone project, helps point researchers to misconduct. Still in its private beta, its founders have yet to create a business plan for it. You don't say. A group of California based graduate students has developed an AI powered tool to catch congressional insider trading as soon as possible. Though in its infancy, the program could be a revolutionary way for journalists, researchers, and the general public to hold public officials accountable. For their fall 2023 Masters Capstone project at UC Berkeley, Max Dodd, Aditya Shah, and Jocelyn Tai and Connor Yin came up with the idea for Polywatch to see if insider trading is as prevalent of an issue in Congress as many perceive it to be. We dug into it and were really disappointed when we found that in the last decade, there's maybe been 12 successful investigations that have led to nothing. Adding that they believe that the Congressional Ethics Committee tend to sweep infractions under the rug. In other words, looking out for their friends. Shah explained that Polywatch works by feeding its system publicly available congressional stock filings, hearing schedules, committee assignments, and sponsored travel. We're basically contextualizing stock transactions with key information, such as committee assignments, sponsored legislation, and our team of investigative experts to identify suspicious activities with ease, Shah said, noting that the tool was already able to identify when lawmakers made questionable COVID-related trades during the pandemic, which the Department of Justice investigated in 2020. We really see this tool as almost being like putting a magnifying glass on what's happening and letting people see what actually is going on because it is crazy, Dodd said. Robert McGuire, the search director of Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, is thrilled about the new tool's potential use cases. If I'm understanding correctly, what this can do is it's going to potentially revolutionize the public and journalists' ability to track the stock trades and ownership of members of Congress. PoliWatch is in a private beta period as the project lacks outside financial support. At the moment, keeping it up and online costs the team around $500 a month. Shaw said the team still plans to update and improve the product, but it's not anyone's full-time job. They haven't even incorporated a business yet for PoliWatch. Another reason the project isn't publicly available yet is how young it is. Dodd said that for now, the team wants a human in the loop and any outputs for our model because we want people with expertise in this area to vet information and not have the data misconstrued. Shah added that looking ahead, they like to expand PoliWatch's reach beyond congressional transactions to promote corporate accountability as well. Well, what about Congress's thorny trade history? Well, it's a far-reaching conflicted Congress, or should I say, corruption in Congress. And the investigation in 2021 found that lawmakers regularly violate the federal Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge (STOCK) Act with little consequence. Many of the Congress own shares of companies that overlap with their committee assignments. Publicly sentiment toward members of Congress and their families trading stock came to a head at the end of 2021 when then Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi came out against banning the practice in a press conference. Of course, after her and her husband made $100 million in stock insider stock trading, of course you come in and then say, let's ban it. You've already made a fortune. You don't have to worry about money for the rest of your life. A 2022 poll said from Data of Progress found that 70% of likely voters supported a ban on congressional stock trading, with just under half saying it would make them more likely to vote for a candidate if they supported a ban. Though bipartisan anti-congressional trading bills have been introduced in recent years, none have been brought to a vote on the House or Senate floor. I wonder why that is. Dodd said he sees PoliWatch as a way to try and restore confidence in congressional transparency. In terms of building public trust and faith in the people running our country, it's at all-time lows, he said. This could be a big boost to bring that up. So when you go to vote, ladies and gentlemen, in November, you need to take all of this into account. All right, that's my show for today. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And remember to share it with people. You never know who it may help, encourage, inform, or stimulate in the right direction. And on that note, remember the system works if you work the system. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And I'm out. Peace.